When it comes to building a website for your business or for personal use or for a client, it could actually be pretty confusing nowadays to figure out where to get started because there are so many different ways you could build a website and there's so many services out there that provide websites for you. So I wanted to make this introduction video to give you all the different things that are out there, really the top 5 in each category. So then you have a really good understanding of what different things are, where to get started, what's a domain name, what's hosting, what's the all-in-one build platforms. All of that I'm gonna cover in this video. And in the following videos, I'll make 5 or so videos after this in order to show you each one of the platforms and providers that I'm gonna mention. So you could actually then watch those videos right after this one. Here you'll get a big picture overview, and then I will get very technical and very step-by-step in the following videos. So for any website, it doesn't matter if you're trying to sell something, if you're promoting your business, or even for personal use, you basically need 3 different things. First, you need a domain name, then you need web hosting, then you need the content that lives on the website. So let's go over each one of those. The domain name is pretty simple. That's just your address on the web or the URL. For example, youtube.com, that's the domain name for YouTube. Now with domain names, you could actually buy the domain name completely separate from everything else. So you could just buy the domain name before you even get to the next step of building out and hosting your website. But I don't recommend you do that just yet. Watch the rest of this video to see if that's an option you want to take, because it makes it a little bit more technical if you buy your domain name from one company and then build your website with another company. And your domain name doesn't have to be .com. It started with .com and then there was .net and .org, but nowadays there is ton of different stuff. There's .co, there's .app, there's .lead, there's .io, there's .pizza, there's .company, there's a ton of different options. But you want to stick with the bigger ones for your company. So .com, .co, .io, .net, those are some of the bigger ones that have a good reputation and have been around for some time. Now, I do have a different video to kind of walk you through how to come up with a name, especially a website name. So I'll link that below too. You could watch that. I have a really step-by-step formula on how I come up with a company name or app name or a website name. After you pick your domain name and the address for your website, the next step is picking hosting. Now, hosting, if you don't have any technical background, could be a little bit confusing. Basically, your website has to live somewhere on the internet. So then when people type in the address, like youtube.com, that website gets pulled up for them on their computer somewhere else in the world, right? So you don't host a website on your own computer. You can, and it's very technical to do, but the problem is, what if you lose power? Your website will be offline. You don't have some of the security that the bigger companies have, right? So what if you get hacked? You're gonna have to do a lot of work to make sure you don't get hacked. What website hosting does is it takes all of that on your plate, right? So when you build your website, it sits on someone else's computer, some big company, at basically what are called like server farms or data centers. And they're just physical computers sitting there, and your website is sitting on that too. The code for your website is sitting on all the content, the pictures, the images, the text. When someone goes to your website's address, like youtube.com, everything gets pulled up from that server on their computer, right? It's not pulling it from your computer. That's what web hosting is, really, to simplify it as best as I can. So these hosting companies, you basically pay them monthly to rent a little bit of space on their servers or their computers for you to host your website, okay? And it could get more expensive as your website gets bigger. They basically give you a percentage of their computer. So the bigger your website, let's say you have 100 videos on there, it's gonna get much more expensive than if you have just text and images on your website. And with hosting, you have a couple different solutions. You could just buy a hosting package. I'll give you some examples of what those are and the best companies to get those from. That allows you to, again, rent that storage space or that computer space for your website. Another solution is some companies actually provide this as an all-in-one solution. So you could get your domain name and the website address from them. You could get your hosting from them, and you could build your website right there. You don't have to worry about any of the technical knowledge of how any of that works. So I'm gonna start with that, then I'll show you the hosting solutions, then I'll show you some more advanced options. And lastly, you obviously need the content that will live on the website. So that will be all the text for your website, the images, if you have videos, if you're selling items, you want to actually organize all that. But you could do that later as you jump ahead of the first couple of steps. And they have a ton of templates. All these things that I'm going to show you, they have pre-built templates for every genre and category and business idea that you may have already. And by using those templates, it makes it really, really easy to get started. You don't need any graphic design, okay? So those are the 3 steps I'm gonna show you. Domain name, then you get to website hosting and building your website, and then you get to adding content, okay? So let's start with the all-in-one website solutions. And obviously, outside of this, you could hire web developers, but for the case of this video, beginning with creating a website for your business or for yourself, I'm not gonna recommend that. That could be very, very expensive. For my website, I have a developer, but that is building out things by code and it gets really, really complicated. I'm not gonna cover that here. So let's start with these all-in-one website builders. Here, you're gonna get everything you need. You're gonna get the domain name, you're gonna get the hosting, you're going to get the templates for the different designs, okay? So this is all you will have to worry about if you go the route that I'm gonna show you here, and I'll show you 5 different companies that offer this so I could compare them for you. And just to give you an idea, I'll show you how much traffic these get so you kind of get an idea of size. So 30 million up to 36, 40 million people per month are coming to this website. So it's a big, big company. And a lot of these companies will also help you to do a lot more, right? So they start with a website builder, but they're gonna help you with email, getting marketing tools, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of them, you could even hire an expert if you don't have time to build it out or figure any of this out, or it seems too confusing, just hire an expert on here and they'll take care of it for you. But just to give you an idea for building a website here, this is how this works. And I have a link in the description to all these. So click that link. I'll just press browse templates to kind of give you an idea. So basically, if you go this route, you could get any one of these websites and they will look exactly this way. So let me just click on this one to give you an idea. If I preview this one here, this is what the website's gonna look like. It's gonna have the menu and you would jump in here and edit the stuff that you see here. And they're responsive for different mobile devices. So for an iPad or for Android and iOS phones, they will resize themselves to fit. Okay, so this is kind of a good place to get started to just get some ideas for template. Again, I'm gonna cover this in much more detail in how to make a website with Squarespace. Okay, I just wanted to kind of show you all your possibilities here and my recommendations so you know where to get started and make a decision and then watch the detailed tutorial on these. And remember, everything, including the domain like squarespace.com for your company, it won't be yourcompany.squarespace.com. It's called a custom domain. So it will be yourcompany.com or .co or .ly or whatever extension you choose on that. The next website builder platform is called Wix. And this one is really, really large. In fact, looks like 65 million views or visits a month on this website. And this website kind of works the same way, right? They'll take care of everything for you, including domain name, and they will give you website templates to build out your website. And let me just kind of explain some of the pricing options of how these platforms work. Typically, you pay a monthly fee, and anywhere from $15 to $30 is the range of a lot of these platforms that take care of everything for you. And a lot of them will give you a custom domain for free when you get started. A lot of them have that built into their price, at least for a year, and then you'll have to pay a little bit extra each year to kind of keep that updated. You have some space for video. Video takes a lot of storage, so you only have 5 hours you could see for this. So if you have a big video platform like I do, this could get really, really expensive. And again, I told you, you rent basically computer space, so this is the storage you have. If you're not technical, you don't have to worry about it. Typically, websites are even smaller than 3 gigabytes if you don't have large images or videos. If you do, you may want to look at some of these bigger options here. And you do get a bunch of other extras with these pro plans like professional logos. A lot of these will give you ad vouchers too. And I have a ton of ad videos on Google Ads and Facebook Ads. I think this one comes with Bing and Google Ads. Yeah, a lot of these give you a voucher to that so you could get started. And free SSL certificate. This is when you go to a website, you'll see this little lock icon on top. That means the extension is more secure. HTTPS is what shows up before this. If I click here, it's HTTPS. This S is for this SSL. You don't have to worry about that, but anywhere that you do look, make sure this free SSL certificate is included. You don't want a website that doesn't have that these days. So that is critical to have. Now, this next option is actually a domain provider. So I buy all my domains here. So I would search for domains and buy them here. But they also have a build platform for building a website. So they will do a website builder right here. So when you buy your domain from them, you could then just go ahead and do the same thing as I showed you on the other platform and build your website this way, right? And you could get started for free. Again, link to all of this is in the description below. But this is really, really easy. We'll walk you through how to build a website. Again, I'll cover that in detail in the next video. So if you buy your domain name from GoDaddy, you could then just build your website using this, and you won't have to worry about transferring it. So for beginners, I always recommend whatever decision you choose, if you go with Squarespace, Wix, GoDaddy, or the next options I'm going to show you, just buy your domain name from them just to make it easier. I use GoDaddy because I have a dozen domain names with them, and then I transfer it to whatever option I choose after that. Now, if you're selling products on the internet, let's look at Shopify's traffic here. And Shopify is getting over 60 million views a month as well. And with Shopify, it's the ultimate platform for selling anything. Now, you can sell on the other platforms too with their e-commerce templates. They all have e-commerce templates. But Shopify is definitely the leader where it comes to e-commerce stores on the web that are your stores, okay? And here are just the pricing. Shopify is more expensive than the other website platforms because it's just designed to be used for shopping and e-commerce. And they also have a ton of different templates to choose from. So you could definitely see that over here on their website, and then use the link below to get started if you want to just check it out. But you can see a ton of different templates available, and a lot of them, almost all of them, are designed for selling. And finally, you have WordPress.org. And WordPress is what powers 41% of all websites on the web. It is massive, massive, massive platform. And again, with that, they have a lot of different themes to choose from. But WordPress does get more confusing than the other platforms to get started, okay? For WordPress, you do need hosting. This is not one of those all-in-one platform. For WordPress, you have to do the 3 different things I showed you manually. You do have to buy a domain name. So you could go to GoDaddy.com, find a website domain name you like, buy it. Then you would need hosting. So a lot of these hosting platforms that I'm going to mention in the following section are going to have a one-click WordPress install. So you don't have to actually click get WordPress or any of that here. You'll take care of that on the hosting end. So you need domain, you need hosting, and then WordPress will be installed there with a bunch of templates. Still the same 3 steps, but not in all in one. So that's why I mentioned that last as the 5th option, but it is 41% of the internet. So there is a good reason why it's that big. And just to make it clear, WordPress.org, you will never actually go here. You'll take care of this from the hosting plans I'm going to show you. But there's this other thing called WordPress.com. Now, I don't recommend building a website on WordPress.com because you won't get a custom domain name. You'll get like WordPress.yourcompanyname.com. You don't typically want that. You want your own domain name that's custom, that says your business name.com or .co or whatever the case. So let's go to talk about hosting if you decide to go with the WordPress solution. And I'll start with the one I use. So my websites are typically, except Howfinity.com, which is completely custom and is hosted by Amazon. This website is hosted, most of my websites are hosted by Bluehost. So you could go to Bluehost and buy hosting. Let me just kind of explain what hosting looks like. So with hosting, you can see hosting is much, much cheaper than those all-in-one platforms. And this is called share hosting. These cheap hosting packages are called share hosting. That means whatever computer you're renting, other people also have a little bit of space on that computer. So a single server or computer in whatever data center this is in around the world will actually serve multiple. And there's something called over here dedicated hosting. That means you get your dedicated computer or server. Now, this is far more expensive than the other options and it's more advanced. So I don't recommend that if you don't need this right now and you don't have a large project. But for the other one, you can see it's pretty cheap. You typically pay, like this one, to get this price, you basically pay for like 3 years, but they do have other prices for like a year or month to month. All these plans do have that. And I do have a promotion in the link below. And if you take a look, you do get a free domain for 1 year, just like the other platforms that I showed you. You get that free SSL, so always pay attention and make sure that's included. And CDN is pretty useful. It's a content delivery network. That means depending on where people check your website, let's say someone in Argentina is checking your website versus someone in China, they will be served this website from a different location around the world. So basically your websites get delivered a little bit faster to people depending on their location. They basically put a copy of your website on multiple different servers instead of just one. That's called a CDN. Very, very awesome and useful option. And it comes with these type of hosting packages. And since I have Bluehost, I'll show you kind of what the back end of it looks like. This is just Bluehost when I log into my account, and you could go ahead and build your website this way. So you could just press add a site, and then it walks you through building a website with WordPress. So that's why I mentioned WordPress. With WordPress, you need hosting. And I'll just give you an example of what a WordPress hosted website on Bluehost looks like. This is one of my other companies here, and it's a pretty straightforward website that I built using their website builder here. So again, you would press add a site, and then you would create a new site here, and then you could do a WordPress, or you could build a Bluehost website builder, which is also WordPress, but it's just much, much easier for beginners to just drag and drop to build it. So I recommend this one and start building with this if you go with the WordPress and Bluehost option. Now, let me show you a couple other hosting packages I've used in the past that are pretty good. With Hostgator, let's see the traffic on Hostgator here. You're looking at about 5 million people are using Hostgator each month or visiting the website at least. And same kind of thing. You could get started here, and this will do the exact same thing as the other option that I showed you. You will get a website that you could build out using WordPress. You have SSL, you get your free domain. And I should mention, with these kind of packages, some of these more expensive ones, well, this is only $4, but you get unlimited websites. You don't just have to build one website. But this only comes with one domain. So you would then go to GoDaddy and buy another domain and then bring it into here. I think they also sell domains. Yeah, they also sell domains here too. So you could go ahead and register a domain over here or transfer it if you bought it on GoDaddy, for example. So Hostgator and Bluehost are pretty similar. I personally have Bluehost, but I have used Hostgator for quite a while, 5 or 6 years ago. And then you have Dreamhost. Let me look at the traffic for Dreamhost. About 2.5 million visits a month. And this has exactly the same thing that you saw. And these are just different companies. So you have Dreamhost, Bluehost, and Hostgator, just to give you some options to compare to. I haven't personally used this one, but it is one that I see promoted all the time and very reputable. So if you go with the all-in-one solution of the first 5 items that I mentioned, it's gonna be a lot easier for you. So I recommend that, but it is more per month. If you wanna spend less and you have more time to learn, the WordPress solution, where you buy hosting from some of the hosting websites I showed you, and then do the one install WordPress on those, that's a pretty good option if you want to go that route too. Takes a little bit getting used to, but it's my personal solution. But right now I'm looking at all the other ones that just take care of it for you, and I'll pay the little bit of extra. Then if you're selling courses, I recommend entirely different solutions to the ones I mentioned so far. So let me show you just 3 platforms. I won't dive deep into them, but platforms for selling courses are going to be a lot more advanced and more expensive than what I've shown you so far. So you have Kajabi for selling courses, and it is super powerful for membership sites and coaching and online courses. It basically combines so many different things that you need to do to sell courses into one. Okay, so it's not just making a website and videos for your courses. It will take care of your email marketing for you, which those could be really expensive, and ton of other options. So this is probably my favorite and what I'm about to use to sell my courses and switch over from my current solution. Now, the biggest platform for selling courses is Teachable. Now, Teachable is a little bit cheaper than Kajabi, but it doesn't have all the same solutions. So for example, you would have to buy email marketing separate from a different service, but this is much, much bigger. You could see almost 20 million visits a month on Teachable. And you have ClickFunnels, which this is also a website builder and it's also a way to host your website. So typically these could start about $100 a month, just to give you an idea. So the all-in-one solutions were about $20 a month. The hosting packages were as little as $5 or even $3 a month, where you could use WordPress. And if you're selling courses, you're looking at a much more expensive options with these three that I've shown you. And Shopify also is a different pricing point. As you could see, if you're selling things like e-commerce store online, Shopify is probably your best solution. But if you want to save some money, you could look at the e-commerce platforms in GoDaddy or Wix or Squarespace. So hopefully at this point, you have a pretty good idea of all the different solutions and the technical jargons of building a website. Now, there are a ton of other services. I basically just showed you the top 5 in each different category, but there's a lot more than that. As far as website builders go, you could probably find 100, but I wanted to show you the top ones here, kind of compare them to give a good idea. Now, in the following videos, I'm gonna build a website step by step, using every single one of these platforms to show you how they work. So I'll build a website with a domain name from Squarespace, all on Squarespace, and you get an idea how that works. And I'll do it with Wix, and I'll do it with all the other things I mentioned. So you know exactly how to do it if you follow along with me in the following videos. So everything's gonna be in the description, including all the resources and all the upcoming videos. And I hope you found this useful. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for following videos, and I'll see you next time.